Welcome to the Navigator Podcast. Welcome to Navigate Academy, Module 49, Monthly Recurring Revenue. Today's guest is Mike Abernathy. Mike is Director of Business Resources at NSCA, the National Systems Contractor Association, who serve hundreds of member companies in the systems integration marketplace. He's been a part of the system integration industry since 2001. He started his career with NSCA after spending 10 years with a commercial audio manufacturer where he managed international sales. Today, Mike's role at NSCA is to assist members with business resources that help them operate their systems integration firm more effectively and profitably. In this Navigate Academy podcast, I'd like to have you share, Mike, your experience with NSCA's tireless drive to increase the recurring monthly revenue percentage of its member companies. So welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Great to be here. So appreciate all Navigate and Solutions 360 and everyone does here for NSCA.
Great. So what makes a company successful? I know that you guys, again, are tireless drive to do that. What makes that company successful at selling and managing an RMR portfolio?
Yeah, and I've been back at NSCA 7 years, Brad. And as you know, when I came back, we had NSCA's Pivot to Profit event, and the focus was to help integrators move forward and really change their business model, transform their business model to generate more recurring monthly revenue. And it's been a challenge, right? Over those last 7 years, it's been a challenge for many members. There are many integrators that are doing it well. And so I think it looks at, I've kind of noticed two things over the last, few years that really make a difference for an integrator. And that's, first of all, is you got to have a plan, right? Brad, you talk about having a plan all the time, right? And so with that, and one is looking at the sales compensation side of it, right? You can't just send a sales person out and just start selling it. You've got to have the right compensation plan, but also then you've got to have the technology platform and everything as well in place to support all aspects of that recurring revenue. And recurring revenue means, and Brad, you know this as well, is it means different things to different integrators, right?
Yep.
And it may mean, fire and inspection, right? Fire alarm and inspection services. It may mean, embedded resources in a facility, in managed services, and so forth, or hardware as a service, or hardware as a rental, or whatever, or it could just be selling software. And I think the integrators that have been successful at it, what they've done is they've really sat down, they've done their research, and they started to look at, okay, I can't do this on my own. So how do I partner with a firm? Maybe it's a manufacturer, maybe it's a sales coaching firm like Vector Firm or Revenueify, or is it partnering with like a Navigate, going, okay, what do we need to do from the whole aspect as an integrator? What do we need to do to ensure the sales part of it's in place so we can sell it properly, then we can invoice it properly, install it right, the whole process throughout the whole thing. So there's a lot of little things. We've had a lot of members that started up, and guess what? It didn't go as planned.
Yep.
And so then they had to go again. And we as an association, and I think Navigate as well, has learned to put those tools in place to help guide integrators through the process of increasing their recurring monthly revenue.
Okay. I think you somewhat answered this one, but is it focused only on the service department, or do more departments have to be involved?
Yeah, I think it's a holistic approach, right? And I think from sales all the way through the service, all need to be on the same page. And I really did answer that. But having that plan, right, and looking at the the training side, ensuring that you have all your team trained and understanding the steps and so forth. Yes, it's part of service. If all you're selling is service level agreements, then sure, then it's focused on your service team and obviously, but your finance team needs to be aware of how to bill it correctly, right? There's revenue recognition. There's a lot of things that above my pay grade. But I know you're an expert on that, helping integrators guide through that. So it's also using those external resources, right? That can help you put all this together. And if that's through a consultant or through NSCA or whatever it may be.
What, I mean, I think of other industries. What could this industry learn from other verticals? Again, like IT or monitoring or, ADT. It's like they seem to get it down, but sometimes we make it hard.
They do. And I think one thing to look at, and we get compared to the IT industry a lot, right? And how can we be more like the IT industry when we look at from an AV perspective or a security perspective, and the technologies that our members sell and implement and so forth, is what industry are we in? And the common answer is we're in the AV industry, we're in the security industry. I think we're safe to say we're in the IT industry, right? Everything we sell is an endpoint on the network. So now thinking that way, we have to transform our business, look, think, act like IT MSPs or IT VARs and so forth that are there, because the solutions we're selling, yes, they're AV specific, they're a specific application, but all the devices are an endpoint on the network. So starting to think like that and selling it as a service, right? And also selling it as mission critical, right? Our systems are now mission critical in the day-to-day operations of many corporations and of our clients.
Well, I think that big paradigm shift is, again, selling more than a box. I'm selling an endpoint that's going to be here for 20 years, and we want that endpoint to always be like alive and taken care of versus that box.
That is correct. So having the service to support that, right? The monitoring, the tools and so forth, and more importantly, the proactive monitoring to be aware, and then where the client doesn't maybe even know it went down.
Exactly.
Right? It was solved before. And that's, getting into the selling side of it, is selling the business outcomes, right? How do these services, right? And it all comes together at the end of the day, is how do these services and so forth that an integrator is providing, how do they help their client with their business outcomes, right? In whatever aspect, if it's a security solution, if it's an AV solution, a lighting, fire alarm, life safety, whatever that, technology may be.
Got it. What do you see from your perspective? Again, you touch a lot of people, and I think we're hinting that it's more than just, ooh, let's go do it. It's a paradigm shift. But where do you see the future?
Yeah, I see the future, and I think maybe the future is going to drive it for, right? The marketplace is going to drive it for a lot of integrators to continue to build on services and recurring revenue and have that, process in place. Right now, when you look at NSCA members, right, when you look at our revenue, only about 14% of NSCA members' revenue comes from recurring. Most of that's in maintenance agreements, traditional maintenance agreements, right? I think our goal, I know, Brad, you and I have had this conversation, how can we increase that to 20%? And then how can we increase that to 50%? I'm starting to see many traditional, what I would call traditional integrators, both AV and security, where that number is starting to increase.
Yep.
Right, where the plans of everything we shared about, if it's working with, a sales coach to put it in place, or they're on the process management side, all these things. But it starts at the beginning of hey, this is a strategic imperative, and we will invest and make those steps to improve our recurring revenue, because it adds what does it do for the company? It adds value to the company, right. Especially if you start looking at that succession planning side of things. And we have one little integrator that about 60% of their business is recurring revenue. Right. They're a $6 million integrator, and 60% of it's recurring. So just look at the value of that little.
Look at that multiplier, right? I think as you talk, it's more than just saying it's service. It's a company goal and a company plan.
Exactly. I think it can, work into your mission, vision, and value, right? How does that all work towards, solving your client's problems, if you will, and
yep.
using this whole plan as to be a part of that.
Awesome. Well, we always shift gears quickly, but we always have a business book we'd like to think about. Do you have any one you're currently reading? If you don't have one of them, just any book will do.
Yeah, well, I do have a book right now that I'm just started reading. So I'd love to say I know a lot about it, but it's Reboot Your Career in 90 Days. We actually shared this at Pivot to Profit. Here, I'll lift it up if
Okay.
that's so. It's by Lisa Thie, and it's really about talent, how to retain talent. And that's a number one. I feel like the number one issue I hear on my business resource calls with members is, right, what's keeping you up at night is it's keeping top performers.
Right.
And one thing that I know you talk about a lot is mentors, and it talks about the value of having strong mentors at all levels of your company. So I've got a little bit more to learn in this book, but so far it's been good.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom, and our members will also. Thanks.
Well, great. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.